Well, thank you all much for
Clean up.
I'll bust tables when I'm done. For giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you today. This is a great forum. I guess the big question that I think that's out there that needs to be addressed is I don't look like a conservative.
Very bad.
All right, I was born this way.
With the beard?
That doesn't mean I was an ugly child, okay? I was just born on the West Coast, all right? Now, not all bad things come from California. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story.
I don't have a beard and I came from there.
There you go, and here, she's a wonderful person. Now, a bit of my story. When I was young, my granddad had a restaurant down by San Clemente. It used to be a big deal for me to go there because I get pick out my own pastry. But the real big deal was being able to sit in the president's chair because it was one of his favorite restaurants. So when I was young, I got to sit in President Nixon's chair, my granddad's restaurant. And he was the first president I wrote to and got a response from. My folks' ranch is real close to the Reagan Library. And so that's a point of pilgrimage each time I go out there. And my dad still sits on a number of commissions that he was appointed to by President Reagan. So my roots are in Western conservatism. That's where I come from. Now, I've been in Cypress for the past 10 years. I moved here in 2007. And this is the longest I've lived in any community in my life. Okay? So I moved a lot as a child, and then I got into the oil business, and I moved a lot again. But since then, I came back from overseas, back to Texas, to Cypress, and I've been here since the end of 2007. So why am I running? My focus had been international and external for a long time, and I realized that really I need to focus locally and personally. I know getting mad at the news or getting mad at the way the country's going is only going to get me so far yelling at the TV set or the radio. And if you really want to do something, you got to get involved. Okay? And I've gone out, and I've gone to some of the MUD meetings, and I've been to the ESD meetings, and I've been shocked on how it's kind of run and what's going on there. Sometimes a lack of transparency, lack of planning. And I figure it's because it takes a lot of effort to do that. Right? To be involved takes some time, effort, and put in. So I'm not going to be able to sit back and complain if I'm not going to get up and do something about it. I feel that the ESD is the best position that I got my experience, my qualifications for. Now, what was my experience? I retired as a global head of safety for BP. Prior to that, I did assurance and risk management for the BP America board. During the summer of 2010, I ran the health, safety, and environmental technical services for the Gulf response. Probably one of the biggest responses ever in the history. Since retiring, I teach at Lone Star Community College. I teach GED. I do 4 years of high school in 2 months. That's helped folks get back going, get their start. I started at a community college also. I'm a trained Virginia Tech engineer. I have an MBA from Penn State, a master's in corporate responsibility and practice. I have postgraduate work in operational leadership from MIT. I also got a year of law school because I was dealing with a lot of lawyers and I figured I needed to be able to deal with them. Okay, that experience, that training has given me the ability to look at issues from a lot of different perspectives and make judgments on them. So I run for ESD Commissioner. What to expect from me? I've had a long career in holding organizations accountable and making sure that they have plans in place and they follow those plans. I don't have any conflicts. Right? I don't have any businesses or services that I provide to the ESD or the fire department. I don't have any personal relationships there. And I think that's important because I think the ESD Commissioner is here to hold them accountable to delivering on the contract that's in place. And I think it's also very important, some of the things that Betty brought up, some of the other folks here today, about having a plan, a strategic plan, and working to that. So you don't have mistakes, like buildings in the wrong place. You don't have buildings built that are unmanned, equipped, that are unused. So, was there a plan behind all that? What is it? Okay, and we're only going to grow more. And as we grow more, we're going to find out, well, 13's not really in the right place. We put it in the wrong place. And you can only do that by having a long-term strategic plan. I have that background. Now, I have the desire to get involved locally. I think this is an area that, with my background, my expertise, it's a good fit rather than working with one of the mud boards. And it's the first time I've run for an office in my life. But I figured this is a good one to start with because it's at least something that I got a background and knowledge in, and then bring in my experience from my corporate life into ESD and the fire department. So any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You said this is the longest you ever lived someplace?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you actually be here 4 years?
I've told my wife that I'm willing to be buried in my backyard. I'm done moving. I've also done flying in airplanes. I bought an RV and I drive around the country now. We downsized. We were over in Copperfield. Now we're in Bridgeland. Downsized, small enough so the kids don't come home. There's room for a tent in the backyard, but I figured they'll only last so long. There. Yes, sir.
How old are your kids?
My kids, my youngest is 30, oldest is 32, and I have to, full disclosure, currently there's 7 dogs, as my wife and I are involved with some of the rescues locally. This meeting, very